So I got an incredible amount of love on my time-lapse video a few days ago, so now I'm going to show you a tutorial of the house right there in the distance. But I'm also gonna show you some tips and tricks for some of the other things I do in here. Like this tree, or this one, or this one, or this big one in the back. I'll show you guys some stuff that I use to make the trees look a bit better, a bit more normal. So hang on and let's start building one of the trees. I'm gonna start off with like a pretty small one. Not too big, not too small. A very different trunk than normal, I feel like. Like something that goes over and back a bit. Yeah, this should be tall enough. Then we're gonna go further to the extensions. I like to make some extensions like this, some bit over, a bit higher. I like to make them in a few directions, to be honest. Then comes the next step, is filling in the leaves in like a kind of circle. So after basically almost finishing the circle, you'll actually move on. It's making the top of the tree. You do this by placing leaves on top of it. And making, I normally like to make, you really have to feel the layers mostly, in these trees at least. Because if you go too tall, then it looks weird. If you go too small, it also looks weird. So I think this is about a 3 or 4 type of tree. 3 or 4 type of layers of leaves. But this though does still look weird. Looks okay, but it's not like this. So now let's add the hanging parts. So you just create like a few downwards looking vines slash leaves going all the way down. When you're done with that, you go into the inside of the tree and fill it up. Just do some spanning, not too much. Don't want to take too much away from the real tree. So like this. That looks better on the outside, but the inside, I mean on the inside, but the outside is still a bit wonky. So I usually then go around placing some more leaves, just adding some more stuff on the side of the tree. Then eventually going up and filling that part. So when you're done with the side part of the tree, you move up to the above part. This is way too symmetrical. So I like to change it up by placing like a lot of leaves in a random order to make it look more real. Like some branches are thicker and some are thinner. So the leaves like spread out a bit more. I also do that on the top part. And if it's too big plateau, I normally like to then add a new one on top of it. Like a more, also really random part on top of it. That's how I like to make my trees lately. Like this. I sometimes also grab like a spruce fence with like a lamp and go inside of here and like hang a lamp down. It's always important to do every tree different. This one is a bit more like a bulge, like a ball. While this one is more like a hanging one with longer leaves hanging down. This one is more like just a cap. This one is also very different. I took the same design that I used for the leaves in this, but I used it differently on this one. By using a different trunk type and making the little houses on top of here. So now we're gonna move on to the big tree. Now we're at the big tree. I like to make the first section of the big tree like this. Like, so you can have like a hole in here. This hole is important. This is where the ladder goes. So you can go up and down the tree. Make this ladder high enough. Then we can move on to the next part. Okay, this seems about high enough. So now let's add some stuff in the trunk. just like spam some wooden logs like this. And get a nice little shape going. Of course, make the shape a bit higher, so it feels more like a real trunk, not something kind of weird. I will say that this would about do. So now we just have the trunk finished, the bottom part. Now we're gonna move up to about, I would say, right here. This is a good section to start making some branches. I think this is a good branch. Then also branch out about here. I would say create another one. Then about right here, create another branch. They don't have all to be on like the same height, because that will be kind of weird to look at. So now we have created like the branches, but now we need to decorate it so it looks a bit better. Like add some wooden blocks here and there, so it feels like more like a platform than like a branch. Okay, so now we have the platforms for at least this section. So now we can move on with the houses. So now I've grabbed most of the materials I need to make this branch basically. I see that this is a hard part to do, so I add some more of this. I also see this is a hard part, so I'll add like this. Now we have this section right here, and we can start making the house. I'm actually gonna shape this branch a bit differently and set it up right like this. So now let's add the logs, except for the place where we want the house to really be. So like this. Now we can actually start using some leaves to give way to like the little platform. And fill in the rest with the planks, like this. Now we can create the huts. You can do this in many different ways, many different types of roofs. I normally like to use this one. Can also vary with using stairs and just blocks and stuff like that. But I prefer this one. I'll make some other ones later in the video. So now I'll move on to decorating this branch and show you how we need to build the next part. So I create like some good amount of leaves under here. So it feels like a branch. Then spread the leaves out a bit. Like a good bit more. And then build like a bit of leaves around it. When I'm done with that, we have something like this. That doesn't look good, so we add some more around the sides and start shaping a bit more of the leaf. When you have finished that part of shaping the leaf, we're gonna move on to the next part, making it look better. Because this is a bit weird. So I normally like to use like some hanging, some different types of lengths of leaves on the other side of the tree. So that's basically how I create most of the huts, with a bit more detailing afterwards to make it look a little better. Oh. So it doesn't look really weird. But that's like mostly one of the parts. This build. So I'll get back to you when I've built the rest of these 4 branches. So now we're done with the leaves and stuff around this tree. We're gonna focus on the paths. All the houses and the leaves are done for at least this level, and now we're gonna focus on making the street a bit better to walk across. And a bit safer, of course. So I normally make paths like these, easily traversable, with some few little slabs like this, and then a few little of these, keeping it together. And there we have it. Most of this path is now done. And this place is basically free to use and safe. So now we're gonna go to the last layer. So make this a bit more up to around here, I would say. This should be the place where it should exit. So add the ladder back up to the top and start making some new branches. So after you're done finishing the railing of this build, you can go back to the trunk, like this part where the 3 was, and create like a little more of a patch up with no ladder into it, and create like a last section where the last few leaves for the tree shall be. So like this, just start adding some leaves around it. So after adding that last part of the tree, then it should be done. I used a bit more houses than I wanted to, but now we can do actually the last part and do some decorations. So let's find some bookshelves and an enchantment table. There he is, there we are. So you can place like an enchantment table, like right here, and then place a lot of bookshelves around it. Like this, or you can do like other stuff like crafting tables and some furnaces or some smokers, basically whatever you want, like a bed, so some normal furnaces like a blast furnace, some smokers, whatever you want, you can add it in here. I usually use like lanterns with like a spruce fence to like create some lighting in here, like this, or like just up on top of the ceiling. I'll probably hang one right here, or like just like this against the trunk. You can also just find like log spots like right here and just create a one right there, or like find this hanging piece hanging, then add one like this. And just one going down like this. Basically, it's whatever you want with it, you can do with it. It's your adventure, it's your build after this. Be creative with it and do whatever you want with it. You add like a spruce door. You can add like this. With like the same thing I did in that one. Like this. Hollow it a bit out, then placing the door. Then placing like 2 trapdoors like this, and then placing the door right there, and then placing that one above it. So it's like a different type of thing. These things are all what you can do with it. It's all your choice how you want it. You can do it like this, and then you have like the trapdoors like this. So it's your build, you can do whatever you want with it. I will leave a time lapse for this build at the end, like right here. So if you made this build, send it to me on Twitter. That's the place where I'll probably see it the easiest. I hope you find it a good build. I hope you guys enjoy it. And I hope you guys make some cool stuff with it. Bye!